BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed ahoy hoy. Welcome after an extended break back to BRB UK. It's episode 598. I'm Dan, I'm one of your hosts. Good day, good evening, good betwixt those two things, whatever that might be.
Cheeks.
Let's call it afternoon. Let's call it afternoon. Good afternoon. There we go. That's a word. I'll use that. Welcome, one and all. We've been off for a little bit due to a combination of assorted flavours of real life, but we're back at least some percentage of normalness. And always lovely to nestle into your ear holes. I'm Dan. I'm one of your hosts. Good evening. I'm joined over that way by Coleman.
Hi. Tales of our death were greatly over-exaggerated.
And nestling beneath me like a hungry little rodent.
Hippo.
Hippo. Let's go for
Hungry
hippo.
little hippo.
A rodent
Yes.
hippo.
It's even board game
It's-
related.
You're like a furry hippo. It's Tim Hibbs. Hello.
Hello. I
How
have
you doing?
100% less tonsils than the last time we spoke.
Do you?
So there you go.
It's the
yeah.
way to fly, mate. They are
Did they not leave you like a little slither?
No.
useless lymphoid tissue, just
Yes.
asking to cause problems. They are the appendix of the neck. There is no point for them. Well, actually, there is
Yes.
a moderate point for them, but
Well,
in adults, not
only
so
in
much.
early
There we
life, yeah. Not
Yeah.
so much now. So yeah.
Yeah.
Can they aid
better
you
rid
in
of
video
them.
gaming at all?
It
No.
depends if you turn them into like control freak thumbstick toppers or not.
I will
Ooh.
take that as a no, and therefore they're useless to us.
Yes. I mean, you could have done that. You could have preserved them in like resin and made them like a little kind of limited edition thumbstick
Oh,
control freak thing. You could have done that if you
I mean,
truly
yeah.
cared about this medium of entertainment.
In a move that absolutely no one could have predicted, Tim had to take some medical time off, and the entire show fell apart.
In fact, me and Coleman were just enjoying the sound of silence. I'm not going to lie, it was nice. It was nice. But we're back.
Thanks to the Gamers Confessional guys for stepping in.
Yes,
yes,
thank you,
thank
guys.
you very much.
I really enjoyed that show.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to everyone who stepped in and was patient while we were taking a little bit of time away. But I suppose we really ought to get straight back into it. And I see, oh God, Tim's got two games to talk about. That's the only problem. Tim's been off. It means he's played games.
Well,
Let's do the one that me and Tim have, then let's
Yeah.
do yours, and then let's cycle back to Tim for his other one.
Yeah,
That
and then I
sounds
can
like a
slip
plan.
into a coma.
Yeah.
Is what I can do. That sounds like a good thing. So you chaps have both played Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. That
Mhm.
sounds very exciting in a moderately generic way.
Yeah, like
it
many
conveys
people
that
are playing,
accurately.
and some people are enjoying, some
Right.
people are not. It seems to
Okay.
be leaning mostly on the not side.
Right, so
But
tell
yes,
me, what is going on?
This was me looking for something that looked kind of impressive and new, and I
Right.
could talk about on the show. And I
Okay.
saw it on Steam, and I was just about to hit the purchase button,
Oh,
and I went, "Hold on a minute, is this cheaper on any key sites, like CD keys?" Yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to buy it on there. And just before I entered in my card details, wait a minute, fool me once, shame on me, you, or however that goes. Let's check Game Pass. It's
Good.
on Game
Yeah.
Pass.
yeah.
So I have been playing this on Game Pass and have not made the mistake I did with Steel Wakes of Deep.
Well done. Well done. You've learnt. That's all we can ask sometimes is that we
You
learn.
always take the piss out of me, Coleman, when I give you like a rundown of how I approached buying a game and the story behind it. So I will do the same to you, sir.
but
Oh,
the,
yeah,
the difference is
it's
that
relevant
Coleman's
to the
story.
last time this happened.
Yeah, Coleman's story was over in about 20 seconds. That is the key
Yes.
difference. It's not like it was a Tuesday. I woke up. I wondered, what shall I have for breakfast this morning? Shall I have some porridge?
I had an
Or am
onion
I
attached
feeling a
to
bit
my
too bloated
belt.
for porridge? Should I
Basically,
perhaps
one
just
trick
have a
is to tell them
banana?
stories that don't go
Yeah.
anywhere. Like the time I caught a ferry over to Shelbyville.
No,
Exactly.
That again.
To be fair,
so-
that story's
yeah.
more interesting than the story in Flintlock, possibly. But you've probably played a bit more than I have, Coleman. So I'll leave you to kind of generally go. But
Yes.
my opinion of this game is it's fine. It's okay.
Good. Good.
So this is, I forget the studio's name. Is it A44 or
A44, yeah.
Yep.
Something like that, yeah. And they're the guys that came out with Ashen, which is a much smaller looking game compared to this one that had a fair bit of hype behind it, and then when it came out, kind of fizzled out a little bit. But they obviously had enough success for that to work on something aiming a bit more in the AAA looking realm. And they went, hey, let's go for a more kind of, it's got a bit of, what was it, Order 1866?
1866.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the style, mixed with a bit of Dungeons and Dragons magic and like kind of mixed everything in together. And what you've actually done is you've gone, what if we took Forspoken, removed all the charisma and turned it into like a really dull Souls-like?
How much were you really removing in terms of charisma from Forspoken? Just gonna
I
put that
found
out there.
Forspoken incredibly enjoable. Thank you. I really
Did you?
enjoyed that.
Well,
That was a very
we can
funny
all be
game,
wrong
I thought.
about things. That's fine.
I liked Forspoken.
It's definitely
this
got
one
more
isn't-
charisma
it's-
than this, but yeah.
Yeah, it is quite similar sort of structure of the tone and look of the game, but then
Mhm.
very dull. But this is
Wow.
so when you start playing this game, like in a lot of the Souls-like type competitors or attempted competitors that come out, you do the tutorial and you go, "Oh, cool, a hack and slash game," and then you get past the tutorial, and go, "Oh, it was a Souls-like all along." It's just kind of hiding it. So I was really looking forward to this one. A story-based third-person hack and slash. I can do this, and then went into the Souls-like, but it's a Souls-like that it's a Souls-like by committee.
Cool.
Anything
Sounds fun.
yeah, it's like if there's anything that you've kind of people have criticized and wanted in a Souls-like and gone, we want more of a skill tree, we want more, we want better looking graphics, we want an easy mode. Like this has your back. Just doesn't particularly feel very good.
I think it particularly feels like a poor man's Bloodborne because you've got
Okay.
a pistol that you can use as an
Hence the Flintlock.
interrupt to enemies'
Yes.
attacks. And I think that is kind of what they were aiming for. I just think it's a hard comparison point to put yourself up against one of the most beloved kind of Souls-like games. But in terms of the Souls-like aspect as well, the one thing that kind of sets it apart, but that kind of, or in a way, sort of undermines it a little bit, is the fact that at any point in time you can cash in those Souls-like so they're no longer at risk of being lost in combat, basically. Which
I like that. So
it's not
what you're
terrible,
talking about is
but
the thing that's different is when you kill an enemy, you gain the energy in this, it's souls or blood or whatever it is in different games. In this one, it's just some kind of energy you get. But when you collect the energy, it creates a little multiplier on the side. So
Okay.
the idea is to keep building up your multiplier, and then you can cash in. If you get hit, then you lose the multiplier and you don't cash in, and you get significantly less than you should have been getting.
Okay.
I really like that. It's a very different.
it's
kind
quite
of,
a nice, yeah.
It's like the best thing in this game. I think that novel idea.
But for me though, it takes away the risk reward of wanting to persevere and traverse to the next checkpoint without cashing that in and going back and resetting the enemies and stuff like that.
I'm not gonna
So it
lie.
kind of
I'm a
undermines it
Coleman
little
on
bit.
this one.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I
but-
can't.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of, look, for those of you, I've never particularly enjoyed Souls-like games just because I want games to be my downtime. And
Yeah.
for me, Souls-like games just
Yes.
add stress to my life.
Well, yeah.
And I'd rather not pay 30 quid for the video
Yes.
games equivalent of punching myself in the crotch every 5 minutes.
Coleman
but, you
can
know.
probably speak better to this as how that works out in the game.
Just in general.
But so far from what I've seen, there hasn't been a point in time where I've wanted to cash that in, so it hasn't really played out into anything that is meaningful. Like, has that actually come in handy for you in the bit of the game you've played?
So it's come in handy. It's just like a novel, cool thing. I thought I
Okay.
quite enjoyed it. It's like the trying to get an triple S ranking on Devil May Cry. You don't really have to do it. It's just a fun thing to do, and it's quite satisfying when you pull it off. And in this case, there is a sort of reward to that. So that's what I've enjoyed. The one thing I've not enjoyed is there's a block button that's a parry button as well. If you hit the timing, same as every flipping
Yeah.
parry in any game. Guy goes to attack you, you wait a sec, you at the right moment, you hit your block button, you do a parry, you can attack back. The reason that's needed is there's not only is it cool to look at, but there are certain attacks that you'll need to use that for to get past like
Yeah.
shields and to get past certain kind of attack chains and things that are unblockable. The problem is, I don't know about you, Tim, I just found it super, like, I swear I'm hitting it at the right time.
Yeah, it doesn't
But,
seem
it's
consistent
saying
in its
I'm not.
timing. Yeah. Like it doesn't seem consistent in what it's asking you to do, even with similar enemies with similar timings, kind of thing. But I found, like, as I said, I think it's fine. Like I almost feel like I don't want to overly criticize it because it's not a terrible game. It's not like it's not anything really, really bad with it. Well, okay, apart from maybe the facial animations and the story acting and some of the level design. But like it's not
Apart from
like,
these 15
Yeah,
things,
apart-
it's great.
it's like it feels like, as you said, it feels like a kind of indie studio having sort of growing pains getting to a AAA thing, and I don't kind of want to overly fault them for their ambition, but it feels like they're trying to run before they can walk a little bit, and it just feels like some of that feels a bit flat. Like the world in itself, it feels like the costume design is if what happened if we kind of jazzed up Napoleonic uniforms and didn't really advance things while fighting in a World War One setting, but also magic somehow, kind of. And that's like there doesn't seem to be much explanation for why the world is in the state it is, at least from the portion of the game
Yeah.
I've played. Apart
Sounds a
from
lot
there's
like
some-
Magnificent Beasts or Magical Beasts.
Yeah,
Left to Find,
yeah.
then, basically.
and there's kind
I
of
guess so.
there's kind of gods floating around. We haven't really spoke about that aspect, but there's
Get into that in a bit. I
the
wanted to
Siege of
talk
Oh,
Dawn
hang
about
on,
the
hang on.
first.
There's gods just hanging about, floating about. Just
Hold
going,
on,
"All right,
we'll,
mate."
we'll get to that. We'll
All
get
right,
to
yeah,
that.
okay.
I'll allow Coleman
Okay.
to get to that, but anyway.
Yeah, so the kind of story of this game, which is really the main point to be playing this game, I think, because I'm gonna, even though I'm not really that enamored by it, I'll probably stick with it just because I'm interested to see how the game ties together, the story. You're kind of in this world where the world is overrun with monsters and the undead, and they're all coming from this one point where there's like a barrier, and they're getting through the barrier, and your plan is to blow up the barrier and therefore seal all the monsters in. However, oh no,
No,
you
they
blow
do.
up the barrier, you open up the barrier, more
Yeah.
monsters come out, including
Oh,
one
dear.
big one who destroys all your people. And
Right.
you're off to go and exact revenge from this big monster, god that has killed everyone.
Yeah.
So the RPG fantasy equivalent of you shouldn't have picked that, should you? You shouldn't have picked that. You should have left that alone.
Don't pick the scab.
Don't pick it.
Don't pick the Siege of Dawn.
It's the dumb protagonist hero looking out to fix the problems that they caused.
You
Yeah.
fixed it so hard you made it worse, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
With-
but yeah, you play a character that is so dull I've forgotten the name of them. So we'll just call
Norm?
them Little
Nor.
Miss Battalion Britches and her magical fox friend.
Her name is Nor.
No, I'm like my name
Okay.
much better.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, repeat that name for me again, Colin. Just want to check you've been paying
Just
attention to yourself.
Ignore.
Little Miss Battalion Britches and her magical fox friend.
Okay, good. Just double checking. Right, good.
10 out of 10.
Then I would pester Coleman to say that again.
Would fox
What was the name again?
Little Miss Battalion Britches and a magical fox friend.
Good. Okay, excellent. Right, I think
Good,
I got that.
good,
Yeah, carry on.
good.
That's a
That's
long
not the
episode
title, it's too
but
long.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but along the way you are aided by a much smaller god who is in the form of a fox who has magical powers. So while you're
Fox
attacking using your
god.
melee of an axe and your ranged of a pistol, the fox can use magic and nibble at the bottoms of the bad guys that you're up against.
Just the bottoms,
amazing.
specifically
Yeah.
the bottoms. Just nibbles at their
Yeah.
arse.
Yeah, it
Just
kind
only
of
the arse. He's all about your magical fox friend is all about the arse. Is that what we're saying?
annoys
Yeah,
them
pretty
and
much.
makes them weaker to your attacks by making them purple somehow. That's
Okay.
his magical powers.
Good. Magical purple arse powers. Brilliant. Got it. Right.
This game, if you wish to purchase it, it retails for $39.49 or $34.99. Or, as we said earlier, you can play it on Game Pass, which is probably the preferable way to do it because you might get bored and you might stop playing. And I would recommend this to those who are in between games at the moment.
There's also a little mini game in it, which is fun, but I hate when they do that thing where, like, you can play this now, but also it's impossible to win at the moment until you go around the world and pick up better things so that you can play the game more. It's like, okay. All right.
Good. Yeah, it's a fine game. It's a filler game.
Yeah.
For me.
It's
It's not. I wasn't particularly I wasn't looking out for it. I didn't actually if I knew this existed, I must have completely forgotten about it. I just happened to be looking through Steam and found this randomly and kind of fell into it that way. Lights went very bright all of a sudden.
Oh.
That was weird.
Whereas I was looking forward to it for some time, and then this is not quite measured up to my expectations of what I was hoping it
Aw.
would do. Although
Okay.
I wasn't, I'd heard Ashen was good, and I never played it. So and I knew that other people spoke about it in reasonably high regard. So I was looking forward to
Yes.
this in terms of seeing what they could do with it. And it's as I
Stuff
said,
and
it's
things.
fine. It's okay.
Stuff and things. Yeah, perfectly serviceable is what we're talking here.
It's a game.
A
It's not
perfectly
broken.
cromulent game.
Nice.
Before we move on, the Chugnut would like to say that Fallout London released today looks rather splendid. And Iris also says Fallout London mod sounds awesome. We'll be talking about that more next week if all goes
Yep.
according to plan, because I too will be playing that game.
Ooh.
How about you, Dan?
Nice.
Going to try and Fallout London?
I will, if I have time, I'll probably give it a look. But
What about you, Tim? You're going to try and put it on a Steam Deck?
I was about to say,
amazing. Yes.
Can you
do we
set
think
a
now Steam
webcam?
Deck?
Can
Challenge
we
mode
watch
for
you?
Tim.
Okay.
I will pay to watch you try and install that on a Steam Deck.
I really want to make a video of Tim trying to build a PC from scratch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when what was his name? The Superman Henry Cavill. Do you remember when he was doing the live stream and he like put part of it in wrong and it went through a stream for ages? Oh no, don't go back and do it again. I think Terry Crews live stream building a PC as well. We'll do that, but Tim,
What rarefied company you could find yourself in, Tim?
you've had mainstream Hollywood actors building PCs. Now a bloke in Finchley.
Let me tell you a story about how I got the knife that I'm going to open this box with. 15 hours of box opening tales later, he finally gets a GPU out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Anyway, Dan,
Yes.
before I was picking up this game, I was hovering over the game that you're playing. So
Excellent.
why don't you
So
tell me?
the
And we've
game
spoken
I
about
have,
this a few times.
I have. So this had a demo way back in 2022, and the game that had said demo was Angerfoot. To me, a game that seemed very full of amusing whimsy and silliness, which is usually right up my street. And beneath that layer of silly whimsy, that was a good jump cut on that video.
Yeah,
But on
sorry.
that,
I'll fix it in post.
Behind that layer of whimsy is actually quite a fun, deep game. So the basic setup is Angerfoot. It's a almost a first person kind of take on a lot like kind of a lot of the spirit of Hotline Miami, where you've got to kind of speed run through a level filled with enemies. You're a little bit squishy, and you've got to kind of find the most efficient path to success to get there as quickly as possible. Armed initially with just your foot. That's pretty much the setup. It's a game that sounds like it could get very repetitive very quickly, but thankfully, due to some great level design and the fact that things are just dialed up to 11 and constantly silly and fun, it doesn't really tire that much. Chasing after, a lot of the replayability is going to come from chasing after all the objectives on each level. So each of, I think, the 40-ish levels has like up to 3 stars. You get 1 star just completing the level, and there's kind of like challenges for completing them in a certain way. And they range from the relatively simple to the genuinely quite blooming hard. It's a great game. The humor might grate on some a little bit. It's a little bit kind of low-hanging fruit puns. You essentially live in a city called Crime. Well, it's called. I'm not going to say the actual words of it because Coleman doesn't like the swears on YouTube. But
In general,
let's call it Poop City. Let's call it that. And it's all run by various gangs, and the gangs are run by guess who? The crime minister. Do you see what they did there? Yeah, see
I
what
like
they did
that.
there? Yeah.
is that the hairless cat? I saw a hairless cat.
No, there was no. I haven't experienced. That's not the hairless cat. I believe that's one of the
Okay.
goons or assorted street toughs associated with the crime minister. But
Sweet.
it's a hell of a good time. It's kind of got a puzzly element in the same way that Hotline Miami does, where to really get through the levels as quickly as possible, you have to be quite creative and use the environment and use the kind of the weapons that enemies drop for you. I really enjoyed it. It might not be for everybody. The sense of humor I could see being quite divisive, but it's got a great graphical style. Definitely something to remember. The basic mechanics of it just never cease being fun. I think you can pick it up for about 20 quid. It's
Yes.
out on PC. I believe it's out on PS5 as well.
I think it's PC right now. I think it's going to come to other things later.
Yep.
If I have that wrong.
And
I might have that wrong.
runs pretty acceptably on the Steam Deck, which is always nice.
Oh, good. That's what I was going to ask.
Yes, a couple of frame drops, and you are going to have to drop the kind of graphical fidelity down a fair bit to keep the frame rate smooth, which for a game like this is actually pretty important in terms of keeping your rhythm up as you go through the level. But yeah, really, really enjoyed my time with this game. I'm probably about halfway through, I would say, if I had to guess. And I think it's well worth checking out. I could see an argument for waiting until it drops in price a little bit. It almost certainly will. This has got going to turn up in a humble bundle eventually written all over it. But I don't think 20 quid is a bad amount for the amount of fun you're going to have with this game. Yeah, really, really like it. Thoroughly recommended from me.
I have a question,
yeah.
Mr. Dan. For listeners rather than viewers, they won't get to see that you are a green person with your green angry leg and foot. But
yes,
is there an explanation for why you are green? Is that a thing, or is it?
Do you need an
Not feeling
explanation?
well.
Can't you just let a person be green, Tim?
I
Are
mean,
you some
like a
kind of
frog
monster
person.
who's
That can
judging
be
people?
environmentally responsible. Yeah, but I was wondering, are you an amphibian, or are you just
Nope, just reasons
off
as far
colour?
as I can work
Okay.
out. Reasons.
All right.
People are blue. There's bears with heavy machine guns. There's crocodiles trying to lamp you with baseball bats. Why
Well, that's
not?
why I wondered if you might be an amphibian, because everyone else seems to be an anthropomorphic animal.
No, everyone's saying that. Other people are just blue with really big lips.
Oh, okay.
I can just explain differences in people to Tim. You see, Tim, when a child is born into this world, they have no concept of the tone of skin they're living in.
Yeah, they don't have a choice about it, Tim. To them, they're just a person, and it's kind of, to me, it's kind of sad that you're judging the characters in this game by the color, by their appearance. I think it's shocking. Frankly,
Shame.
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 So that'd be a lesson to you, young
Shame.
Timothy. But anyway, Angerfoot out now. 20
Shame.
quid, well worth it. Really enjoying it. Got lots of Hotline Miami vibes. Great soundtrack. Super duper fun. Pick it up.
I've been wanting to play this, but I've actually sort of thought, hold on, I haven't played Hotline Miami 2. I might just pick that up on the cheap instead.
Yeah, why not? I mean, look, it's itching a very similar scratch, and probably by the time you've ground your way all the way through Hotline Miami 2, this might have a bit of a price drop. But yeah, if you've liked that series of games and you're looking for more, this is a great thing to pick up and enjoy.
I think I would wait for a price drop as well. But yeah. But speaking of fun games, if we're going to talk fun games, yeah, I've been playing something.
No,
else
I want to talk terrible.
No, let's talk
miserable
boring
games.
games.
Well, we
miserable
spoke about
games that
a
make your
mid-game to start
make
things
your
off, hey.
life measurably worse. Is what
Let's
I wanna
talk about Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn.
Yeah, let's go back to Flintlock. No, but one that I was really looking forward to since it had been announced. I think it was announced on an Xbox showcase of some flavor at some point. But that's Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess.
Why do we give Tim the ones with the really hard to pronounce names?
Yeah,
he keeps
probably
picking
a
them.
bad idea. Yeah, well, it's the
Right.
game I played. My brain keeps
talked
on
about
referring to
this.
it as Kama Sutra for some reason, but hey, that's the wrong
Whoa,
thing from
that's
the wrong
okay. Let's
country.
rewind on that.
Yep. But anyway, right. So
Totally
anyone
different
doesn't
kind of
know,
third-person
this
strategy game. That.
yeah, this is very different. But this is a as Dan alluded to, a third-person strategy game. It's kind of very different and very unique and distinctive graphical style, although very distinctively Japanese as well, and kind of has a very distinct old flavored Japanese style of kind of presentation. But yeah, like almost like traditional Japanese painting kind of esque, but it's also a very colorful game. Very colorful enemies, very colorful attacks going on. The Path of the Goddess that it refers to, there's literally a kind of goddess that you carve a path through the level for. She follows that path, and then you have villagers that you are freeing from being defiled, basically. And they, yeah, well, that's
and we're back
that's
to the
how they
Kama
refer to
Sutra
it.
again,
Yeah,
ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen.
And you're free from defilement, I think is how they put it. And
How I like
then
to be.
you can then set them different roles, and you unlock various different roles as you go through the game. The first couple are a kind of a woodcutter that's basically got a big axe, and then an archer, and then you get like a kind of I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically a mage type role, and then various different things as you go. And then you are upgrading those by doing the structure of the game is a kind of interesting and interestingly done. Also, it's got a very traditional Japanese flavor to a lot of the presentation of how things are laid out and how the different upgrades and stuff are presented to you. It's very like it feels very distinctive in terms and very almost as an antithesis to Flintlock. It feels very original
Antifa.
while still kind of pulling
Anti-Tifis.
from the original kind of Japanese lore and kind of that feeding into the look and design and feel of it. It still feels very distinctively its own thing, thanks to the kind of overtly colourful nature of it. But then the game structure feels quite different and unique as well. You've got the levels that you go through, where, as I said, you carve the path of the goddess, and they seem to be coming in halves at the moment, at least from the portion of the game that I've played, where you'll have like one, and I can't remember what they call them, but the red gates, are they Togi gates or Torii gates?
Tory.
I think Torii
Tory.
gates.
Tory.
Yeah,
Two
and
eyes.
so you're leading the goddess through them, and like the halfway stage of a level, you'll get to one of those, and there's a kind of day-night cycle. That during the day you are freeing the villagers, you are going around doing other things in the villages. There's kind of animals you can interact with. You can pet the dog. There's lots of other animals you can kind of
Yay.
pet in the thing as well.
Pet the
But you have to free them from defilement first, and that gives you a little extra bonus.
What the hell?
Yeah,
The dog.
but then there's other like
Get off him.
other
monster.
corruptions around the village that you have to kind of again sort of free from defilement. And then
Can you stop saying that word, Tim?
it's
Yeah,
free
please,
from
can we-
well, that's how they put it. But
Can't
then
you just say naughtiness or something?
But that's what you do during the day, and then when it turns to
You're
night,
defiling during the day.
start-
What the bejesus are you doing at night if that's what you're up to during the day?
the corrupted Torii gates are having a flood of enemies come out of them that basically then turns into a kind of wave-based thing. During the day or just at the start of the night cycle, you can then set the villagers that you freed in their various different roles into positions. And fortunately, it kind of stops the game for you doing that. So that's why you don't have to necessarily have done it during the day. You can do it at the end of the day cycle or the beginning of the night cycle. You can kind of pause it, set everyone up. So you might put your archers on a higher ledge so that they can oversee things and not get attacked because they tend to be a bit frailer. And then you'll put your kind of woodcutters front and center, and then kind of blocking some of the side paths so that you can concentrate on with your main character attacking all the enemies that come out to you straight on, basically. And then a few enemies might kind of slip through the ranks, and then you can do things. There's also kind of barriers that you can repair during the day cycle that give you a layer of protection. But at some point, the enemies might advance on
if
the
you're going to be
goddess that you're
defiled, you do
protecting.
need protection.
But then you can also, just as a general command, get all the villagers to kind of attack or defend as well. So you can have them just kind of go all out on defense. That's generally better in the bosses, but the bosses are kind of separate. The as I said, there's the general kind of levels where you get a couple of Torii gates to go through, and then once you get to one, you can kind
Couple
of
of
do a
Torii
little
gates
mini
soon,
game to reset the health of the goddess, and then you get through and then do another cycle of kind of freeing villagers and doing things. Once you've got through all of that village is kind of freed, and then you have an element where you can go back and play that level again to get more bonuses. But you can also just repair things within the village that you've now freed, and those repairs will give you different bonuses. And you can do your unlocks by visiting the goddess in that town, I think it's a town. But then separate to that, you actually have the boss, the boss characters that you fight separately in a separate area, and you actually like instead of picking to go back into the level or picking the town, you can then you have access to pick the kind of boss fight, and that's in a separate area. You then go in, get some bonuses from the goddess, and then she will kind of allow you to. You could have like different roles of villagers compared to what you had in the day-night cycle of defending that town. So you then be able to like go up against the boss, and again you get to set out the villagers and have a boss fight. And yeah, so far those bosses might be weaker to certain different villager types and stuff like that. There's also different upgrades that you can have on your main character that either give you different powers or can possibly be like a power that boosts the rest of the villagers like that as well. But overall, like the gameplay feels distinct and unique. Like even from the get-go, it kind of sets itself up as being a little bit different. Like you can rotate the camera to the point where it feels like a third-person action game, some sort of behind the character. You can rotate it so it's more of an isometric kind of setup, or you can rotate it so it's more 2D. Like, and that feels like it gives you kind of full control over that. And all of them seem to work reasonably well. So you can kind of just set it up how you want in that regard. And sometimes that's useful for where the enemies are coming from and how you're attacking things. But gameplay feels like I can't think of anything that plays quite like this, basically. It definitely feels like it's got its own unique flavor going on. But yeah, I really like it so far. Like it really is an interesting game. I highly recommend it. It is on Game Pass, so that you can try it out for yourself if you've got access to Game Pass. It is $39.99 generally, and I think that might feel
the new monthly price for Game Pass anyway. From what I've heard.
well, yeah, from things going up while
we missed all that.
Yeah. But
I think that was the only thing that happened while we were gone.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, like I think you'd get a lot of game for that money, so I don't think it would necessarily be a bad purchase. But I'm really glad that I tried it on Game Pass because I'm not sure I would have bought it for that price. But I really enjoy the game. Like it's one of I if it carries on being as enjoyable for the portion that I play throughout the game, I think it might be one of my favorite games of the year. Like it's in that kind of category. And whereas Flintlock, I'm like, if I never went back to that game again, I wouldn't really care. Whereas this, I really want to go back in and see how the story plays out and see what more characters I've got available, what different classes I can do, how the game kind of builds out from here. And I want to go pet some more Shibus. So this is all good. But yeah, I really recommend it.
Tim.
Yeah, I really recommend it. Defilement aside, it's been really fun, and I definitely recommend checking it out because it's a really good little game.
Cool.
Get on with it.
Yeah, that's about 5 minutes too late, FYI. There we go.
Good. I'm glad you like it. That is in my queue.
Yeah.
I need to be trying that one out as well.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. No, it does look. I do like the joking. I do like the take on what they're doing. So almost like a slightly more unique spin on tower defense. It kind of feels like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might well give it a little look. I think. Seems like it could be good times.
Even though this is available on the Steam Deck, on the Game Pass, I might have a look to see if it's Steam Deck ready.
It seems if it's on xCloud, if it's streamable, probably that.
Yeah, I hate streaming to the Steam Deck. I'd rather.
Well, I'm just giving you options. There's no need to just throw it back in my face, Coleman. I'm just trying to save you money.
I play my Steam Deck mostly when I'm commuting, so I'm under the ground.
Yeah, so
yeah.
But yeah, I think it would work okay on like in terms of screen real estate and stuff like that. I don't see a major reason why it wouldn't work in terms of that regard on the Steam Deck, and it feels like the gameplay would be well suited for it as well.
Andy Bain says Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 came to Game Pass if you've got the storage spa.
I like the unintentional irony of running out of space for that.
Running
That's
out
beautiful.
of space.
Just
Space.
Space. Oh, also,
I don't think we're.
Tim.
Just
Are you
one
trying
little-
to sneak another game
No.
into the agenda, Tim?
No. Well, I could do, but it's one tiny thing
No.
about Kunitsu-Gami. It's got the dodge on clicking in the left thumbstick, which is just really odd. I don't remember another
Hate
game
that.
doing that.
Can you remap controls?
Possibly. It kind of
He hasn't
works
looked.
though, but I haven't.
No, it doesn't.
Hang on, you hate
hated
it, but it
it
kind
so
of
much.
works.
I
Make
didn't
mind
say
up,
I hate
Tim.
No,
it.
you said it's
Coleman
dodgy.
said he hates
No,
it.
I said I hate
I
that.
just said it was weird. I didn't say it was bad. Like, it works fine so far.
Mm.
Don't have to dodge that much. You know, there's a good block.
Cool. Right. We should probably move on to a little bit of news before we run out
Yeah,
of
I haven't
time.
had more than 3 balls, but you can have 3 balls at once.
So, Tim, it's not only Tim who likes absolutely murdering Japanese cultural items. Ubisoft are quite good at that as well, it turns out. There's a segue. That's how you do it.
As we knew when we spoke about the reveal of Assassin's Creed Shadows, it was likely to be one that's going to cause some issue online because, oh dear, a black protagonist in Japan, therefore woke. And yeah, that happened. But there's been a lot of inaccuracies to some of the stuff they're saying, in particular the samurai character, saying it's based off a real person who was a samurai, and then there's some. He might not actually have been a samurai, or he's been greatly exaggerated, and it's more of like a folk tale and all this kind of
Turns
stuff.
out he's actually a bloke called Sam, is basically what it comes down to. And that's where all the confusions come from.
What I don't get, if you don't like something in a video game, do you need to just start calling it out every chance you've got and start a hate campaign? Why don't you just not buy the game? Don't spend £70 on a brand new game.
True.
But
True.
I like the fact that Ubisoft's response was basically like, have you not played an Assassin's Creed game before? We've been taking the piss with history for like years.
Yeah.
Did you not see what we did to
No.
Leonardo da Vinci?
The Pope
No,
had
come
god
on.
powers and you had to kill him. That was real. That happened.
The completely accurate description of the history of Catholic Church, Tim, I think you'll find. Completely accurate.
Yeah.
Including the space doohickeys under the basement of the Vatican. All of that totally
that.
true. All that
All
totally
that.
true.
If you remember,
All
the
that.
first Assassin's Creed game was the one that had the Ubisoft, as a multicultural thing and blah blah blah. Like it was like a whole kind of look. Don't get mad. It's we kind of took the piss out of your world and your religion, but it's okay.
I don't think they took
We're
the
multi-faith.
piss. I think they used it as a creative playground. There we go. That's where I would put it.
They creative license with. But I think, and I heard someone else made a similar point on this game, on Assassin's Creed Shadows, that when you are looking at Japanese society, especially for like
As I
Western
often do.
audiences that are less familiar with historical
That's a
Japanese
very specific
settings.
set of websites you view it through, though, Coleman.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but
They're all blurred.
it is useful to have an
Pixelated, I
outsider's.
find.
It is useful to have an outsider's perspective so that you can explain the structure of society and what's going on and all those type of things that would be more difficult and feel a bit more ham-fisted if the character was, in a Japanese person in a Japanese setting and you felt like you were over-explaining what they should already know to them. Whereas if it's someone that's a fish out of water, it makes more sense to have those things explained to them. And I think that's part of the reason why they picked this character to be one of the main characters.
Yeah. So there's another controversy around this, and that's in the I think it's in the deluxe edition. There's an art book, and in there if you remember, I think it was Syndicate. They showed off the concept art in there, and they just stuck in Brock Lesnar and another MMA fighter doing bare knuckle boxing in London. So they do some stuff for reference material. They'll lift stuff from the actual but they're selling this book that has a flag in it which isn't historically accurate. It's a modern day creation used from a reenactment society, and there's that Ubisoft have apologized for as well. But when they've issued their apology on Twitter, which they've put out in both English and Japanese, and it's a 4-page apology, they don't actually say what they're apologizing for. It's very political.
Yeah. it's a kind of it does read a little bit like we're sorry you feel that way. But
Well, yeah.
That's why I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got mad.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things that that as a culture, like many countries, Japan are very kind of proud and kind of proud and reverent of their traditional culture, and I
Yeah.
kind of get that being used and slightly having quite a lot of creative license to it might be viewed. People might find that offensive, and I get that.
Yeah.
I think I kind of understand where Ubisoft are coming from. Where they've had to explicitly say, look, we are taking a big pinch of creative salt here. We are using this as inspiration for the events. We're not saying they are true. So I think it is difficult. It's a difficult thing to manage. I mean, I probably wouldn't have done it quite the way that Ubisoft did. I probably would have made it more explicit from the get-go. I know it's kind of like we all, people who've played the Assassin's Creed franchise do know that it is taking quite a lot of creative license with that. But
we are taking
people who aren't familiar with the video game series, or perhaps that familiar with kind of games as an entertainment medium, full stop, I could see how they might get the wrong end of the stick here. I do think using the flag of that reenactment group, though, just without asking, is probably a little bit.
In concept art, not in the actual game.
Yeah.
Like,
but they're publishing it as part of their
you can use stuff for reference
they're
material, and I don't think they realised that they did it. And it's happened the other way around. I mean, Naughty Dog did that. They put out that trailer where they had placeholder image for... It was just an island that was in Uncharted 4 that Nathan Drake's staring off at, and it was in the trailer, and they left the concept art in. The concept was literally just a screenshot from Black Flag.
Yeah.
So it happens. It slips through the cracks sometimes. But yeah, when it's something being charged for. I would have gone in for a penny, in for a pound. I'd stuck Godzilla in it. But I don't know not much about Japanese history, to be honest. So, and I would have made him a samurai as well.
Well, Godzilla with a little tail poking out the back. Yeah, nice.
Actually, I think sorry, it's Ubisoft. Actually, I think you have found that some historical text said that Godzilla was a samurai.
Complaining about the samurai.
I think part of the explanation for why their apology
your
took
silly English point of view and shove it up your bottom.
I think part of the explanation for why the explanation took the form it did is they wanted to say sorry, but they also don't want to give enough evidence for someone to sue them over it, basically.
I also think
part of the
Ubisoft,
problem of making a corporate apology.
Yeah. They're very stubborn that they're right as well, I think, Ubisoft. So it's just, and that's why entirely it came across as, I'm sorry me doing this made you feel that way. And I think that's exactly what it
Sorry. Sorry.
Yep.
All right, moving on. There was a little show called Evo this past week. And would you believe this has been the biggest Evo in attendance and in viewing figures since Evo. And that's good, because people thought that when PlayStation bought the rights to Evo that they'd been throwing their money away because COVID happened shortly after. But we seem to be back on the right track again. And with that, we got a fair few announcements. Apart from that, there was a sequel to some League of Legends fighter tie-in game that I don't really know too much about, to be honest. There was a lot of port announcements, previous games coming to current generation with rollback code. But I think the bigger announcements that were available were the DLC. Some of these we're not going to know much about because there are like some kind of out of Japan fighting games that we don't really particularly know anything about. But then there are ones that we do know about. So just very quickly, I wish I liked Guilty Gear Strive, because they're going to have 4 new characters: Queen Dizzy, Venom, Nika, and Lucy from Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which has heavily excited me for a video game I'm probably never going to play.
Heavily excited you? That's a very strange way to say you're excited.
I love Cyberpunk Edge
with
Runners.
Excitement.
I love Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Yes. Multiverses, one that Tim's very familiar with. Samurai Jack is now available. I haven't played it
since the re-release, but yeah.
Yeah. Samurai Jack is available as part of the Season 2 content. They've also announced that Beetlejuice will be available at some point towards the end of Season 2.
Only say his name once.
Roughly when the movie
just
comes
once.
out, I'm guessing.
Joe
Say his
Hendry.
name once. Yeah.
I mean Beetlejuice.
No,
Yeah,
don't say it
they
again.
haven't announced.
Beetlejuice.
They haven't announced when Beetlejuice is coming. Oh no! They haven't announced when he's coming to the game, but there's theories it's going to be in September because I don't know if you know there's a Beetlejuice film coming out.
Beetlejuice.
I have heard.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah. That's the one. Tekken 8's news. Heihachi Mishima,
It's
who
not
died
possible.
in Tekken 7 because he got chucked in a volcano.
Yeah.
Hasn't he died in that manner a couple of times already?
He's been, so if I remember my Tekken lore correctly, he's
someone
been
else.
thrown off a cliff in revenge.
Okay.
He has been blown up by a jackbot
Right.
and
Sounds
he's
right.
been lobbed into a volcano.
Okay. I have a question.
I think he's been
Yep.
shot as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
blown up by a
was
jackpot.
JR.
What kind of blown up? Like a balloon or like an explosion?
Like a bunch of jacks, the robots, all came
Yes.
in through the ceiling, and then one
Okay.
of them's face opened up and it had a timer on it, and then it exploded, and then this text came up on the screen.
Extreme
and said,
alarm clock. It
Heihachi
could have just been,
Mishima
hey, Hachi's
is
a busy man. He
dead.
must be tired.
But then he-
must be tired.
but then
Must
he-
need to wake up. It was just an alarm clock.
he faked his death. He faked
Right.
his death the
Oh.
whole
Alarm
time.
clock. Seriously.
But now, in the last game, he got chucked in a volcano, as he
Classic
did
way
to
to fake
Kazuya
your death.
Mishima. But as we know from Kazuya Mishima, you can survive being lobbed into a volcano in the world of Tekken, so
You certainly
it's no
can.
surprise he's back.
It's
but this
like-
carries on.
It's like EastEnders on acid. It's mental.
But this carries on the very frustrating tradition of Bandai Namco fighting games, where they're selling you your original roster back to you after the games come out.
Jolly good.
So if you mainline one of these characters like Eddie Gordo or Heihachi, then good news, you're buying them again.
Sweet.
Oh.
Grand Fantasy versus Rising. Sorry, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. Versia is coming in August 20.
Sure.
Vakala in October. And Sandalothan is to be confirmed.
Let's say yes.
I want to see how Tim attacks that. I'm going to say, no,
Sandalphon.
I'm not going to try that. Sandalphon? Sandalphon.
Sandalphon.
Sandalphon. Like sandal.
Always speak to your
that's a
doctor before
phone.
taking Sandalphon.
Yeah. Can
Yeah.
have some nasty
If you
side
experience
effects.
any of these symptoms, then yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6, Tim.
Yep.
Terry Bogard from Fatal
Woo!
Fury.
Final?
Fatal.
What?
There was a
One of
Final
Dan's
Fury as well,
favourites.
to be fair, I think.
Remember, this was a character that came to Super Smash Brothers, I think it was, and Dan went, "Oh, good, Terry, a bloke called Terry."
To be fair,
not that
he's
common
already
here.
been in a Street Fighter game because they did the whole Street Fighter crossover thing as well previously, no? He was in that.
But not a mainline Street
Yeah.
Fighter game.
True.
It's always been a spin-off. I think, or is it been an SNK? Well, kind of, I'm not sure. SNK Capcom.
Yes, Andy Baines, I said Final Fury instead of Fatal Fury. I know. Thank you.
Final
King of
Fury.
Fighters 15?
God, has it
That,
got as high
that,
as
said,
that?
that says
But
14.
I remember
but
the
yeah.
first King of Fighters. That's
Oh,
how old
damn
I
it.
am.
All right, King of Fighters 14.
XV
Two
would be
new
fair.
DLC characters have been announced. It's Mature, who was from King of Fighters 94, and Vice from King of Fighters 95.
And
And
Mature
then
Vice
under
is
the-
also Coleman's OnlyFans handle as well, if you want to try and find him there.
Yes. And the one that we're all excited for, a game that we're all playing, I'm sure, Under the Night in Birth 2 SYS
What?
Celes.
Have
Yeah,
have I
you
just
heard
had
me,
a
Dan.
stroke? What
You
the hell
stuck
kind
a
of
I was
name
gonna
is
say,
that?
there was the in there, but yeah.
I was gonna say, did I stutter? And then I realized I did. So the character of Azuki is available now. I did have
Sure.
videos for all of these, and I decided that we're probably going to talk about them quicker than the videos last. So there was no point in playing them.
Yes.
None
but,
of the words in
uh,
that game title make sense.
There's Terry. There's Terry.
Hello,
Dan.
Terry. Oh,
Good old
Terry.
Hello,
Terry.
Terry. Terry's
All right,
back. All right.
Look at him. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah,
Terry.
he's doing
Terry's having
He's doing
good
a
time.
street fight. All right, that was nice. Also, some people won at Evo.
Yes,
I hear
an
a
American
41-year-old
actually
bloke
won
did
Evo
quite well.
for a change.
For the first time ever, I thought. The first
Yeah.
time ever an American's won Evo. So
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just for a
Mm.
change, just ever.
Well, yeah.
I don't watch Evo. I just watch the trailers when it's all done.
Did you see the guy doing the splits? That's the main thing.
Yeah, he's the 41-year-old bloke.
Yeah.
Let's hope
I
to
saw.
be, yeah.
Is it Sonic Fox playing Mortal Kombat 1 as Homelander, and then when Homelander does the drinking breast milk victory taunt, he started trying to copy it with a water bottle, and the crowd were groaning at him. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. Have you seen The Boys, Dan?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Good.
but the fact that the crowd were groaning and makes me think it's a little bit of a cringe-worthy moment, is the way you're describing it.
It was funny.
Yeah?
It was funny. It's not as good as that year where they did. I mean, sure they had it this year as well, but was it Dragon Ball Fighters, and all the crowd like really getting into it, and they were just mimicking the Goku actions along with.
Nice.
Just see, like the guys calling for the spirit bomb, and everyone in the crowd's got their arms up. It was amazing. That almost made me watch an Evo.
Almost, but
Right.
not quite.
Shall we do that thing we do at the end of the show where we
I
wrap
think
it
we
up?
do. Let's get the hell out of here.
Mhm,
But first, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
you need to go to tpublic.com/store/BRB to buy things with my face on it. We had other things that didn't involve my face, but I demanded they got taken down by a DMCA action because they didn't involve my face.
My face got taken away.
Semi-true stories.
Yeah. Yep.
My lawyers got
Tim
involved.
found out the hard way that saying everything's parody isn't actually a valid legal defense. So we're now just left with things with my face on it. So tpublic.com/stores/BRB, buy things with my face on it.
Yeah, we did have a Coleman face shirt, but Elvis the lawyer had to get involved.
Did he?
Oh.
Elvis?
Elvis the family solicitor. Call back, Dan.
Yeah.
It's a call back.
I know.
About 2 months ago, I think.
I know.
Good.
I know.
Take down a t-shirt.
Right.
tpublic.com/stores/BRB Dan's face.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
but
Base.
Tim, it's not just all about my face. It's also about Tuesdays, which happen once a week. And what's happening this once a week Tuesday? What amazing things, Tim? Tell me.
Well, each and every Tuesday, we do an event called Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Most weeks, we have a feature game. If you play that feature game, you have a chance of winning a copy of that game at the end of the evening. So, this week's feature game is a real doozy, a game that I know and love. It's Star Wars, the deck building game,
Cluedo.
which kind of rips off Star Realms a little bit, which is one of my favorite two-player games. But they've added a Star Wars flavor to it. And it makes me like it even more, possibly. But it's a really good.
I have a question.
Yes.
What flavor is Star Wars?
Star.
You said Star Wars flavor. What is the flavor you would associate with Star
I don't
Wars?
think I did.
You solely said Star Wars flavor. I want to know if Star Wars was a flavor, what would that flavor be?
I don't think I did, but bantha fodder. But anyway, but yeah. So, yeah,
Blue milk. Or green
or
milk.
blue milk.
Hubba
But
bubba.
Star Wars: The Deck Building Game is a really good one-on-one card game. It's all self-contained in one box, so you don't need to buy anything else. And yeah, it's a really good little game. Also, something that we are doing each and every week at the moment, we're doing organized play for a separate Star Wars game, Star Wars Unlimited. That's the one that I'm heavily addicted to at the moment and playing lots of and spend a bit too much money on. A bit like Magic the Gathering, but with Star Wars. It's very good. Excellent. You can play that at any week at Tabletop Tuesday at the moment, and we're doing organized play for that, which means that you can get some exclusive cards just by turning up your own deck and playing it on a Tuesday. I also have an extra little prize I'm giving out to both Star Wars Unlimited players
Me and Dan.
and Magic players at the moment. So there's an extra little thing going on for that while stocks last.
We'll come to
but
your house.
you can come along this week and play Star Wars, the deck building game, and you can win a copy of that just by playing it on the evening. Both great little Star Wars games. We are a bit spoiled with good Star Wars games at the moment, especially in the card game and deck building world. So these are two ones to come along and play on the evening, and should be a good one to do. If you want more details, well, there will be more details by the time this podcast is not live and in your ear holes and eye holes anyway. But there will be more details on the top left-hand corner of Big
Stop
Red Barrel
defiling my holes,
Friday.
Tim.
Defiling the holes.
Whoa. Okay, that was what I was
Sound clip.
avoiding saying, but thank you
Yeah.
for putting that out there, Tim.
I'm gonna make sure I isolate that later.
Oh, that's game.
That's for the
Misused
board.
against me in future. Yeah, you can join the over 2,150
What are you doing to that dog,
plus
Tim?
members of our meetup group by searching for Tabletop Tuesday on meetup.com.
That is Tabletop Tuesday on the 30th of July over at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Go there, take $1, go see a Star War, go to File Tim, and go to Tabletop
Defile.
Tuesday.
No, seriously, if you're going to Tabletop Tuesday, take some objects for Tim to defile, please. He does like that.
No.
I'm
Also,
gonna save
no.
some of these comments because that's really good. I'm going to use that in a minute. If you've enjoyed this show, you're a flipping weirdo, but we love you all the same. Thank you very much for listening. You can find us on bigredbarrel.com. That's the website where we keep this here podcast. Bigredbarrel.com, Dan.
That's better.
That's what I
Maybe
said.
not for much longer on bigredbarrel.com, but anyway, right. That's
Okay,
another story.
That's where we keep the podcast. That's where we keep the articles. That's where everything is that you can find us on over there. We have a link to our Discord. We have social media available. We're on X, Threads, and Facebook at Big Red Barrel. We're on Twitch at Big Red Barrel. We're on YouTube at Big Red Barrel TV. Also, like I said previously, you can find us on Discord. Go over there, chat with us, leave us comments, leave us questions. We'll read them out on the show. You can even ask us questions on any of those aforementioned platforms that I've just said. Much like Andy Baines has got, it was the Chugnut UK. He has a question.
Excellent.
What flavor is Tim's star? Chorus the Gamer says, Raspberry Ripple. Can you
Chocolate.
confirm or deny?
It's chocolate. It's always chocolate.
I don't like that.
I thought it was lemon sherbet. I thought
Dark
Tim, what you would
chocolate.
go for. You see, you're just going for the low-hanging fruit there, Tim's like, it's a
Oh, he's got
bum,
piles.
therefore it's chocolate because it's coloured like poop. Whereas, I thought
I
a
didn't
more
say
fun
that.
flavour would be.
I ain't falling for no
like-
banana in my tailpipe.
Yeah, lemon sherbet is what I reckon you rock down there. It's always TikTok sherbet o'clock for Tim's ring piece, I think. So, yep.
Gonna say, I was looking for a drop, and all I could think of is buy grab thus hammer. What a saving! That doesn't make sense. Why do you want that?
Right, we really, really, really ought to wrap this up because this has gone on for far too long.
Oh wait, no,
What?
here's one
What?
because it's a rim shot.
Rim shot.
Rim
Hey!
shot.
Rim shot.
Okay.
Good that.
Yep. Right. Time to go. I would say a mic drop moment, but Len, if you can't bend over around him in case he defiles you when you're not looking. So, anyway, we're going to go. We're definitely going to go. Thank you for listening, one and all. Go to all of what the phrase my dust tastes like.
What?
Oh, someone just asked Chugnut. He's got another question, Chugnut. He's
more
wondering
questions.
what flavour my dust is. What flavour do you think my dust is, everyone? I think
Strawberry.
possibly. I was going to go for bitter disappointment. Is what I was going to go for the flavour.
Taste of bitter disappointment.
Yep, taste of bitter disappointment.
Dry.
Try.
Claggy.
Yeah, it's dusty. I think it's taste
Wow.
of dust. Yeah, that's what you mean by eating my dust.
Yeah, it does. It could be any kind of dust. Dust can come. It could just be normal, common and garden dust, or it could be the shavings of something far tastier,
Isn't
like chorizo.
most dust just
I could exude
skin?
chorizo dust for all you know.
Just skin.
Skin.
Just skin.
Yes,
You're
dry
a
dead
wrong'un,
skin.
Tim.
Most
Tim,
dust.
you are a
dry
wrong'un, mate. Why
skin.
do you always have to take it somewhere creepy?
I mean, that's what most dust is.
You
So,
dog defiling maniac. Back in your hole. Right, we're going to go.
Shame.
Thank you for listening to us and for coming along live. If that's what you did, you can come find us live. Go to our Discord, look for those announcements of when we're going to be doing stuff and things. We'll hopefully be back in some shape or form next week. And until then, we should really just disappear and skulk off into the sunset. But not before that we remind you that I have been Dan.
I might have been Ken.
I've been Little Miss Battalion Pants with Magical Cat.
Another username of Coleman on OnlyFans. So that right there. Thank you, all in all, for coming along, for listening along, and we'll be back soon. So until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
You are an absolute git. You know that. Sent me a mystery code on Steam, and now I've got attached to my Steam library for the rest of my life WWE 2K23.